Here at Vibe Science, ultimately, we're here to empower you to your best self. It's about mind, body, and energy. And you know what? When you work out a lot, when you're eating a healthy diet, it's hard to get enough sodium. It is one of the most important factors in hydration, and hydration controls so many variables of how we feel, how our brain thinks. That's why we're proud to partner with Warrior Salt. Hey, we like to take the BS out of stuff. This is no bullshit, just electrolytes, straight fruit powder and salt, the real deal. I love this product because it's simple. Sometimes we get overcomplicated in the supplements we take, but all I know and what I've learned and the science has proven is you have to have enough salt for that balance of hydration. This stuff mixes really easy with water, as you see. You got to be watching the YouTube to get the full effect of this. How easy that mixes in, and a very simple citrus flavor that's delicious, easy to drink, and perfect before and after the exercise to stay hydrated. Look, if you're already thirsty, you've waited too long. That's why you need Warrior Salt, official partner of Vibe Science and Ryan Alford. Delicious and will keep you hydrated all day long.
Natural flavors mean it's not the thing. So whenever you see that, it's not the thing. So that would be like a vanilla-like thing, some chemical thing that's similar to your tongue and is tricking you that it's vanilla. Health has been made this super complex, difficult thing where you have to have no pain, no gain, right? Everything has to be sacrificed. Your healthy food has to taste bad. Eating well means you're not eating things you like. And I just don't believe any of these limitations. Whenever you're making stuff, you do as good as you possibly can, and then you just don't stay satisfied. You're just like, how can I make this even better? It is always a work in progress, and you can't look back and be upset from where you were, because as long as you're doing your absolute best, that's all you can strive for. And knowing that you're not gonna ever be satisfied, really strive for perfection. You gotta be making small, never-ending improvements that compound over time.
This is Vibe Science, a top 100 wellness podcast presented by the Radcast Network, breaking wellness barriers and making health truly personal. Here are your hosts, Ryan Alford and Chris Hansen.
Hello, and welcome to Vibe Science. We're always taking you to your highest vibe. It's about mind, body, energy. And hey, we're going to talk about all three today. You know why? Because we got it all in one. If you're not watching the YouTube, you need to be watching the YouTube, because you would see me visually pointing down. We have product on the table. We don't always do that. But let me tell you, I've been having this thing. It sat on my table for a week till my wife hid it from me. And then I finally got my hands on it last week, and I'm like, I can't wait to talk to Michael. We got Michael Tecku. He is the founder and CEO of Momentum. Shake.
Ryan, you have an amazing radio voice. That's dialed in. I love it.
Hey, it's been honed over 8 years. I bust with very few things, but if the podcast thing doesn't work out, I've always can fall back on this. Welcome to the main stage. It's Michael Tecku.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
I know, man. I appreciate it. I know good marketers when I see them. In the moment the package show, well, number one, whether I think it's someone from your team, I don't know who reached out. I'm like, hell yeah. Okay. That's right down our alley. What we're trying to do on the show is bringing forward supplements, products, approaches to health and wellness that are above the rest. Let's call it what it is. And then the package shows up. I look at the branding. You know what wasn't lost on me the most? Your own personal metal scooper with your logo on it. I'm telling you, I was like, you had me at hello. I was like, come for the powder and stay for the scooper.
There's a story about Steve Jobs yelling at a bunch of his engineers that the screws on the inside of the MacBook were not good looking. And that always really stuck with me. You know, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so I've just been obsessive, not just obviously about everything that goes into Momentum, but just each part of it. I'm not really a marketer at all, but when I sat back and thought about how are we going to present this, supplements have a really deserved bad rap, right? It's the Wild West. It is usually just a marketing bro who owns the company, throws a label on something that he's never seen, doesn't know anything about. Somebody else makes it. Maybe he doesn't even touch it, goes to a fulfillment house. So I wanted to invert every single step of that process. We built our own factory. We do our own fulfillment. We source everything. I went around the world and found each of these ingredients, shook the hands of the people who make each of these. It's the most expensive version of each of those things. So I wanted to extend that to each thing, right? And like I designed that shaker, the box, the bag, the spoon, everything that you touch. I spent probably more time on that individual thing than most people spend on their whole product.
You know, I'll just get right to it. Supplements in general are a really interesting topic. You know, it's the Wild West with supplements. I think it has been for 20 years plus, but it's definitely that way now, where you don't really know what you're getting. You don't know, like you said, if it's two bros throwing who knows what into something, or like someone like yourself, until you can get underneath the hood and go, wow, okay. You really go through the website, look through the FAQs, and I hate that for a brand like yourself. I love it and hate it. I hate it on the front end because it takes a moment for you to break through with something quality probably, but it's long-term, you're going to win because you have put the time, the effort, the ingredients, the research, the focus into it. But talk to me a little bit, Michael. You obviously had to know, whether from research or lifelong passion, the supplement game a bit. I'd love to get kind of your take on it
Sure.
for our audience.
Just a quick cheat sheet for you and your listeners trying to get through the noise. If you flip the package over, and most of us probably, when you're getting started, you don't know what anything is in there. But if you go into the other ingredients and you see artificial or natural flavors or a bunch of fake sugars, that's a quick signal that they're spending the least amount of money on that as they possibly can, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that they have to really boost that up, or they have artificial colors or any of those things, that's covering up the fact that they're using lower quality ingredients to begin with. And so that's why all that stuff has to be on there. Momentum tastes great, and people are kind of dumbfounded that you could have like 20 pills and powders in every serving, and it tastes good. And the reason that is because all those ingredients are the expensive ones that don't taste bad. So if something tastes bad, it's because it's cheap. That's just the way it always is. And then they try to cover it up with, inferior flavorings. So just another example of how we do stuff. Almost every company in the world is going to use an artificial or a natural flavor. I'm putting quotes up for the listeners. Natural flavors mean it's not the thing. And so whenever you see that, it's not the thing. So that would be like a vanilla-like thing, some chemical thing that's similar to your tongue is tricking you that it's vanilla. We import vanilla beans from Madagascar. We extract them ourselves, and then we put them in the shake. We spend more on vanilla than most people spend on their product. So that's just you can flip that over and you can just see right there, oh, this is probably nonsense. Or the dose sizes is another big indicator. You'll see this has 70, 80, a billion superfoods. And if you see the gram content, it'll be 11 or 12 grams or something, right? Yeah. And you can just do kind of simple math on that. If 3, 4, 5 grams of that is the flavoring, then you have 6 grams of actives. And the actives are probably things like celery or, kale, which no one's deficient in kale and doesn't actually have any nutrients. So if you get 70 or 80 of those things divided by 6 grams, you're getting 20, 30 milligrams of each one of these superfoods. And if you don't know what that is, that's the equivalent of 1 to 2 grains of salt. So if you can imagine what 1 to 2 grains worth of kale is going to do for you, it's what I call pixie dust.
Yeah, I call nothing.
It's we made it green, so you think it's healthy, right? But it's not. It's the illusion. It's the fake tits of the health world. So yes. It's makeup, right? We don't want. That.
Fake tits at least feel good, Michael. Come on.
I'm not just taking his job done, but you just got to know what's under the hood. It's avoid that. Yeah, but to answer your original question, how did we get into this? Right? I have not been a healthy person my whole life. I've been a driven entrepreneur my whole life. And those things often don't coincide, as I'm certain you and your listeners are aware of. Health has been made this super complex difficult thing where you have to have no pain, no gain, right? Everything has to be sacrificed. Your healthy food has to taste bad. Eating well means you're not eating things you like. And I just don't believe any of these limitations. And I really wanted to, after selling a couple businesses, I wanted to focus on the thing that matters more than anything, which is your health. Health is wealth. And that's a cliche because it's true.
Hey, for sure.
So I spent like the next 3 years, I didn't have anything to do besides golf. And I just was 6-7 hours a day chasing something I was really naturally curious about. And it was like, how do I try to get a year younger? That seems like an impossible goal. And I'm going to go try to do it. And that's what motivates me, is doing things that I think aren't possible. And that was just 6-7 hours a day of reading every scientific paper out there, ordering every possible supplement, doing all kinds of self-experimentation, and then putting together this supplement stack of what I thought was actually useful. And so when you really zoom out on what health is, it's just, can your body repair itself faster than it breaks down? That's the definition of aging. I just wanted to try to make like the Rolex of supplements. I didn't care how much it cost. I didn't care, what level of detail had to go into it. There was nothing that was the Ferrari. And so let's make that. It's not going to be for everybody, but it should exist. And that's the story of Momentum.
Michael Tecku, he's the CEO and founder of Momentum. I know you guys use a higher quality than probably whatever I was using, some bird feed or something. But it's fiber. My doctor, everything my doctor, and I have a longevity doctor, like everything he's been telling me is like in here all in one. So you get that, you get the quality, but I don't know how we got to like start to reframe the mind around the value prop of what we spend money on, and what we think is expensive. Right. But it is the Ferrari for sure, for compared to what's out there today.
Yeah. I've been studying entrepreneurs for a really long time. And I really look up to Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. And I've just been thinking, how would they make this? And so with Elon, I looked at first principles, and that's where I got like this foundational thing of trying to replace what we're declining as we get older and really focus on that. With Jeff Bezos, I really thought about your margin is my opportunity, and marketing is a tax for an inferior product. So I really set out to we're going to make the premium version of this, and then we don't need to do the advertising. So like you talk about what your doctor said, right? The way we spread right now is somebody will recommend this to a friend. The friend will be like, I don't really know much about supplements. They'll bring it to their doctor, and then their doctor will start taking it. And then they'll start recommending it to other customers. That to me is like the biggest vote of confidence. We have hundreds and hundreds of doctors that without being paid, this is what they're recommending to people. And so that's what I wanted to make, like something that doctors could feel really comfortable about spreading this.
Momentum. It is the complete longevity supplement. What do you think, Michael, the biggest falsehood is in sort of longevity? Maybe, I think people are starting to come around to that term. Right. I think it's relatively, it's not a new term, but I think it's been more in the headlines and thought process the last 3, 4, 5 years, maybe. I mean, and some of our listeners are probably early in sort of their, I don't know, I wouldn't call us a biohacking podcast, but I would call it the, wellness journey. And not just trying to, be fit for the moment, but be well for a lifetime. Right. And what do you think maybe the biggest misconception is in what that takes and what's involved in that?
I would say it's the same misconception that we have for most things that we desire. I think what the counter, we have incentives that don't align. We have influencers and marketers who want to make things extremely complicated so they have something to sell you or to get your attention, right? What we're doing right now, we're making content, and it would be really provoking for me to say that there's a 900-step process and you have to do all these really complicated things. but that's just a lie, right? Your body knows exactly what to do. It's been perfectly designed over millions of years to operate in a certain way, and it is uncomplicated. I think that's the biggest myth. Whether it's like creating wealth or love or any of these things, it's easy and obvious. It has to be simple. All great art takes very complex things and makes it simple. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make this my masterpiece. So I really thought about human nature first. This needs to, above all, it needs to feel desirable. It needs to feel like, I like taking this. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I can't wait to have my shake. That's how good it's got to be. And then you got to take all of these different things that you would have to buy individually. You'd have to research individually. You'd have to then measure and then get out. And you've just created this giant burden and a reason not to do it every morning. And so I want to invert that and make it something you want to do. You don't have to think about it. It's just there, it's done. And once you've had it, now you feel a little bit better. You're sleeping better. You're recovering from your workouts better. And you get this momentum to start doing all these other foundational healthy things. I want this to be the kickstart, the easy part of your foundation that makes everything else easier, right? So that's the main philosophy behind the concept of momentum. It's my whole life philosophy, is to find a wave, jumpstart, catch it, and then ride it. It's easy, it's obvious. I'm moving with the force of life, not against it. And that's the concept of this product, and why I think it's been so revolutionary for people, because it's the first of many giant changes in their life.
Let's talk about some of these ingredients.
Sure.
So for the audience, and talk with Mike Tecku, greatest name of all time for a tech guy and a innovator. Tecku. What school did you go to? I went to Michael Tecku. Talk to me. Okay. We've talked about NAD on this show, but it is the first thing on here. Let's educate on, I'm going to call out like 3 or 4 here that I want you to go hard on. Let's talk about NAD plus first.
Certainly. So you zoom out even more on what we're declining on as we get older. We lose about 50% of our NAD by the time we're 55, give or take. And what is that? The foundational part of how the body works is go back to 9th grade biology, you have your cell. And inside of every cell is a thing called the mitochondria. It is the engine for that cell. And NAD is the gasoline that goes in that engine. So the mitochondria makes the energy for the cell, which is why we're alive, right? Every living thing on the planet has NAD, is this coenzyme that helps create this fuel that our cells need. And we lose it. And everything about living and aging comes back to the health of our mitochondria. So it's the main focus. That's why I put it first. It became a really popular supplement over the last couple of years from this guy named Dr. Sinclair, who really kind of discovered that you can supplement this and bring people back to the levels they had when they were in their 20s. And it makes a pretty radical difference. It's a natural thing that's in all of us. It's a form of vitamin B3 that's just been micronized. There's a thing called the Krebs cycle, right? So once your NAD is burned through your mitochondrial engine, it goes back outside into your bloodstream, becomes nicotinamide, niacin. It's the biggest form of vitamin B3. And then this Krebs cycle breaks it down to nicotinamide riboside, ribosome, NR, and then nicotinamide mononucleotide, NMN. And you maybe have heard of these supplements. They're just different forms of the same thing. And they get smaller and smaller. NMN is the smallest version of that. That's what we put in. It's called an NAD precursor. And it's small enough to get back into the cell where it's converted into NAD+. You can't orally take NAD+. It's too big of a molecule to get through your gut. And it'd have to be broken down once it's into your bloodstream and goes back and turn, that whole cycle again. So it's the absolute best way to raise your NAD levels orally.
There's 2 things to take away from there. Number 1 is welcome to the Vibe Lab. I failed science, deep. I think. We're going deep in the lab science here. And number 2, Michael knows what he's talking about. And that should give you comfort that he knows and is putting a lot of time, effort, energy testing into all of these ingredients. And because I do know this, the little that I know and have been, we're the curators here. That's why I'm hoping I can, talk Michael into being like the first official promoted product of Vibe Science, Momentum, because we are going to start building our little, our stack of recommended products. And this
you
one
really
might
won't
make
need another one though. That's the problem, Ryan. This is kind of everything.
Oh, hey, there might be saunas or cold plunges.
Sure. Yeah.
So there might be other things. Yeah. But the thing that I've learned the most is you do have to have these, whether it's precursors or things that mix with it to get it to absorb properly. And because you could take like all of something in the world and just the way our body breaks it down, if it doesn't have this other compound or thing in it, it doesn't get to where it needs to or process like it needs to. I think that's it
can be negative. It can be negative if you don't know what you're doing, right? So if you were to just take NMN on its own without an equal 1 gram serving of a methyl donor, it will rob your body of those methyl donors, which will then raise your homocysteine levels. And so this is not what you want. And I think that's what happens with a lot of supplements is people think there's one magic thing and they can take it and they're maybe doing more harm than good because it has to draw those nutrients. So for another example, if you were to take a zinc supplement, right? Maybe a lot of people do that to avoid a cold. But if you don't take copper with it, you're just going to deplete your body of copper. And most people are taking way too big of a dose of zinc because that's another fallacy that I think marketers get into is like, okay, well, this company has got 10 milligrams of zinc. Let's put in 50. And then people, because it's basically really inexpensive, right?
Yeah.
But
one's
now you've got 50.
Is the one you should take. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's not always the case. So we put in a correct form of zinc that won't make you nauseous. It's not overdosed. It's at what you need. And then we put in the appropriate amount of copper to go with it. And that goes the same thing with everything. You'll see maybe that energy drink you got there is loaded with maybe 20,000% of your vitamin B12, I would bet, or like very high percentages of vitamin B.
Talking with Michael Tecku. He is the founder of Momentum. We're talking about ingredients that matter. And a lot of them on the back of this bag. It's a really nice bag, by the way. Opened very, you know how many bags I get, Michael, that don't open easily, that don't, everything about this was like very satisfying. I got my scoop out. I'm like, it's not like breaking in I got big hands. I kind of manhandle things, and it's like, the scoop didn't break. It's like metal, got the logo on it, staring at me. Impression, momentum.
We're still trying to make I'm obsessive about stuff. Like I'm not happy with the zipper on that bag, and a lot of my customers are not happy with that. And so I spent literally the last 8 months.
Well, I've only zipped it a few times now, but
we got some new ones. I had to hunt down this zipper manufacturer in France that will finally never get clogged. And it's been like an 8-month nonstop search and trying to get it through customs. And so they're coming next month for if any of my listeners are frustrated with the zipper.
It opens really easy though. The top opens easily.
Whenever you're making stuff, you do as good as you possibly can. And then you just don't stay satisfied. You're just like, how can I make this even better? It is always a work in progress, and you can't look back and be upset from where you were, because as long as you're doing your absolute best, that's all you can strive for. And knowing that you're not going to ever be satisfied. There's so many people on my team my team is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but people are like, "This is great. We should stop fiddling with it." And I go, "No, we will never stop fiddling with it. I'm going to keep making it better." And then every time we make 5% improvements every month, and then it's, doubled in quality. You're like, oh, holy crap, I would have. And that's the difference between good and outstanding, right? Is an obsessive. You don't do the 80-20 on that. You do the 80-20 on other things, but to really strive for perfection, you got to be making small, never-ending improvements that compound over time.
Talk to me about lion's mane.
Sure.
Everybody's saying the mushrooms, cordyceps, quadriceps, all the seps are out there. But let's lion's mane. And I loved watching the video on the website. I go to momentumshake.com. Shake, not shakes. You don't get the shakes. You get a shake.
I should buy that URL.
Yeah, you should.
So lion's mane is one of the few ingredients that doesn't follow my foundational model of something that you're declining in as you get older or that you're deficient in. No one's deficient in lion's mane mushroom, right? But the reason it's in there is because it's got an insane amount of studies on that. It has neurogenerative protection and it can cause neurogenesis, which means new neurons being grown in your brain. And so when you look at like the things that we're most likely to have, die of or aging in, and we lose our brains, right? It's just degenerate over time. And that's, downstream of not being able to get your blood vessels and nutrients and oxygen to your brain. So what can we do to protect it and help it repair? And that I'm always thinking of like, how do we repair things? And lion's mane has just got tons of studies. It's also something that people have been using for thousands and thousands of years. It's something you will notice too.
I love that explanation on the lion's mane and the quality of the ingredients and the brain help, because that has been one I have tried to dabble in, the mushroom supplements, and I just never. I can stick with things. Like, I'm a brand guy. I play the long game, like so, and I'll do it with supplements too. I don't have to see. I can just take it and stay with it for a few months. But at a certain point, I'm gonna have to see or feel or know, even if it's just blood work. Like, not that you never feel a difference, but and what I was gonna say is we need like the blood work challenge for momentum. Like,
sure,
like that would be awesome. Like. Yeah, because some things you don't feel, but your body will show it to you in your blood work, right? And
I think over a period of time, I try to be pretty intuitive. I know everyone's wearing like, Aura rings and tracking everything and measuring everything. I don't really track my sleep. When I get up in the morning, I know if I slept or not, and so do you. Like,
it's so
I feel
funny
great,
you say
or
that.
I feel like garbage.
I'm glad you went here, Michael. Keep going. Okay. I got a lot.
If after 3 to 6 months you can't, it's not obvious, it's probably not real, right? So we've got these amazing bodies that you are hypersensitive and aware about, and you will look in the mirror and be like, it's been slowly changing, but damn, I can see a difference. For me, I tried to lift weights most of my life, and what would happen would be this cyclical pattern of I would work out for 6 weeks, I would start to make some progress, be like, yes, and I get excited about it, and then I would injure something, and then I would take 6 weeks off to recover from it and lose all my gains and start over, right? It'd be very demoralizing. With this, it radically improved my recovery. And so instead of 6 weeks, I made it 6, 9 months, a year, and then it can start to stack. And so for the first time in my life, I was adding plates on my incline. And I was what I used to measure was just that progress of, okay, I started at like 140 pound like incline bench on a machine. So stable, I'm trying not to injure myself. 8 months later, I've been adding 5 pounds a week, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Wow, I just did 300 pounds. That's insane. I've never done anything like that. I've never been able to increase the weight before because I would always just injure myself. So you should see progress. It's not going to happen tomorrow or next week, but like, if you stick with anything and you can maintain that momentum, and I use that on purpose, you're going to notice things, and it's not going to be a secret. It's going to be obvious.
Yeah.
But blood work will also show it. Yes.
What would be one of the, last things you might point out as far as an ingredient that maybe misconception and or lack of knowledge? I got electrolytes, taurine, and collagen or colostrum.
I think most people know about protein and collagen. Your body is made out of those things. They're made out of amino acids, right? And I think maybe not everybody understands that amino acids are the building blocks of protein. They're what all of your body is made out of, is amino acids. And so when things break down, you need those raw materials. So that's why it's super important we put in 30 grams of the most expensive Irish grass-fed whey protein that there is. I would say colostrum is having a moment. I discovered that 7-8 years ago, before it was really popular. Colostrum is the first milk all mammals make. And it's essentially passing on a super packed set of nutrients, immunoglobulins to the child, so it can grow and stay healthy. Right? It's kind of the most nutrient dense food that is naturally produced. And it's become really popular for that exact reason, is you can take it and it's like supercharging your immune system. It's causing all these growth hormones to come and help you rebuild things. And it's become very popular. Now, as you might imagine, marketers get into this and they extend what the first milking idea is, right? So what we do is we take, it's cow's milk, just like, cows make milk. And so right after birth, in the first day, is when this is the most potent. The calf gets all of its required needs met, and then we extract the abundance of it, right? We collect. And we work with small farms right here in Wisconsin, all within an hour of our manufacturing facility. And what most marketers do is they collect they don't do anything, right? They work with companies that collect within the first week. And as you might imagine, every hour that passes by, it just becomes more and more like regular milk. So Armora is probably the most popular supplement out there that's selling colostrum. They made it really famous. So what colostrum can help with is to re-energize and make youthful your immune system, so it's better at detecting the right things. It doesn't cause unnecessary inflammation, and it's not attacking you. So that's why colostrum is really important. Fiber is really important. L-glutamine is really important because it starts in your gut. You protect that. You're going to have less things leaking out of it that your immune system will attack and then cause confusion. So all these things work together, and some pretty foundational things.
I love it, man. Got the complete longevity supplement all in one, and a lot of great knowledge on the supplements that are mattering today in your process to live well longer. Michael, we've talked about it throughout the episode, but where can everybody learn more about what you're doing with Momentum and everything with the company?
Yeah, just go to momentumshake.com. We don't post much content. I love doing conversations like this with people that are interested and having long form discussions. But I'm as you might imagine, I'm not much of a marketer. We don't do much social media or anything like that. I'm just in the lab working on it, trying to make it better.
There you go. Hey, I think the product speaks for itself, and I will.
You can reach out to Mike at momentumshake.com. I'm happy to answer any questions about health, life, wealth.
Yeah,
yeah. If you want to work together, if you want to do a show, if you're a doctor and you want to,
get on board. Momentumshake.com. Michael, it's been fun. Enjoyed having you.
Ryan, it's been a pleasure. Great questions.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Hey, guys, you know where to find us, vibescience.com. We'll have links to all the stuff, short clips, long clips. We do have a lot of content because we got to break it down into ways that you will digest your best health. Literally, we're making digestible content around here, just like Michael's making digestible supplements all in one. I love it because it's all of the things you need in one thing. You don't got to take 12 things, and it tastes great. So give them a shout. And look, don't give me the $5 a shake thing. Give me a break. Come on, let's go, people. You got to take care of yourself. And I'm going to take us line as we close out. And we appreciate Michael for coming on. From the top of the bag on the back, the key to living longer is to become as healthy as possible today. We'll see you next time on Vibe Science.
The content discussed on this show is provided for reference and educational purposes. The content is not an attempt to practice medicine or provide specific medical advice. Always consult your personal physician for medical advice and proper diagnosis.
Thanks for listening. This is Vibe Science. To learn more or watch full episodes, visit vibesciencepodcast.com. Here's to discovering your highest vibe